Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this week 2 race of the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament. My name is Timp. I'm pleased to be commentating over this race for you today, and I'm also being joined by mentor of the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament, Espeon. How are you doing today, Espeon?
I'm doing great on this Thursday evening. This is a bit of a late night race here.
Absolutely, yeah. It's currently 10:46 Eastern, so yeah, nice late one. But I think that's okay. I know I'm personally kind of I've got some sleeping family members in the house, so I'm sort of bringing the energy down a little bit, getting nice and close to the microphone, and just looking forward to a very chill experience. We hope for some hype from our runners, but from me at least, it's going to be nothing but smooth jazz.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a little bit quieter too, so we're gonna have a nice on the quieter side restream here.
Love it. And it looks like we're off. We're going to try to get things synced up here, I would imagine. But we can see on DieselMartini's screen, we are off and getting started with the scene.
So what sprite is DieselMartini using there? I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, that would be Celeste from Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy III in America. Final Fantasy VI, of course, in Japan.
Cool. I am not super familiar with Final Fantasy actually.
Oh, they're fantastic. Some of them are good. I don't know. Most of them are good, I would say. Oh, and there's the magic cape, nice and early.
Although you know what that means. Cape is always pointing towards Aghanim in the early game.
Yeah, not a good sign for that. Meanwhile, on Arusta's side, I have to admit I am getting a little concerned. Okay, it looks like we finally have a start. I wonder if they're actually just that desynced or if maybe there was a little bit of a miscommunication on the start time. Hopefully, if it was a misstart, they can make that time up.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Maybe like a minute. Not so, that can definitely be made up with
There is,
either execution or route.
yeah, there is a lot of randomizer left to play, as we know. Okay, Baggins Wolf in chat. Thank you confirming that the multi-stream, they seem to be pretty close, so this could just be something that we're seeing on our end on the restream. Hopefully something that will be equalized out over time.
Wow, we're getting a bunch of full magic drops in Escape.
Yeah, that was a nice pickup there.
Yeah, plus there was a another one before, but DieselMartini picking up the Moon Pearl in the
Yeah.
Boomerang chest here.
Wow. Nice early Moon Pearl. That's so nice to just see that early, not have to worry about it, isn't it?
Watch the watch Zelda Cell be the lamp.
The dream for these guys. Of course, they are going to get that fake cone, so it's not of immediate concern. But you know, these guys will definitely be happy to see that lamp when it does pop up.
Fun fact though, the door to Aghanim's tower is locked in standard mode during the rain state, sort of like the initial escape sequence. Because if you go in and you defeat Aghanim during this rain state, it could actually cause problems with the rest of the game. You could lock yourself out of completing the seed otherwise. So it is a randomizer fix to ensure that you don't screw yourself over.
Oh, that's interesting because you know, if there were a perfect storm, you could get, at the very beginning here, you could get the lamp and your fighter's sword and your magic cape all right here, and then theoretically you could go, but you're saying that the game's going to stop you.
Right, it's a safety measure.
That's interesting. I would love to see that though. Even knowing that it wouldn't be possible to finish, just to see that perfect storm would be pretty incredible.
I mean, we might be getting it here. We've gotten 3 out of the 4 items already to actually do things in the Dark World after Aghanim. All we need is the lamp, and then the whole thing would be in logic.
Yeah, that's true. That's so funny.
So neither of our runners has gotten bombs for escape yet. So we are in the back of escape now, looking to kill some snakes and rats and hopefully get some bombs out of that.
DieselMartini did kill quite a few there, and you can see Arusta over there killing a few. And Arusta actually did manage to pick up one bomb, which one is all you need.
I think that may have been from a rat, so it would be in a different prize pack.
Oh, okay. So they had that already, but regardless, definitely going to be excited to see what those three items are, and something that Diesel's gonna have to wait on. And and just as I say that, they do pick up a bomb from a rat. So how lucky!
Yeah, I believe Diesel did not kill too many of the rats in the first room, whereas Arusta went out of their way to take down a couple of them, getting that bomb right away.
I gotta say that is such a nice feeling as you're going through escape. When you finally do pick up that bomb, you can just breathe a huge sigh of relief. There's some more bombs, and of course that map. Now, technically, if our runners were being very vigilant about their count, maybe their mentors were checking up on them as well, they could even advise them to not even check that final chest, because if you're counting, you know that that's going to be the map.
It's never safe to do that in standard mode though, because of the sanctuaries,
Oh,
the
because
last chest you'll be able to
Sanctuary.
get.
Yeah,
So
that's
the only
true.
chest the only chest you can safely skip would be this chest here, the sanctuary. If you knew it contained the map.
Very true. I stand corrected. I would also like to take this moment while we have a bit of a lull in checks to just mention. So obviously, I'm one of the hosts of the Go Mode podcast. There have been multiple occasions where I have needed to head into the general, a link to the Past Randomizer chat, to ask questions of the general population. Just kind of throw it out there and see what kind of information we can get. And oftentimes, when I'm asking those questions, Espeon is among the first of the people in there to respond with the information that I'm looking for. So, quick shout out to my co-commentator Espeon for being an absolute font of A Link to the Past randomizer knowledge, and always keeping me honest.
Yeah, that is one of the things I do pride myself on is my very good knowledge of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to all the people that you're able to help in the Discord, like myself, when we pop in, occasionally someone asking turns around and tells several hundred people what they just heard. So, in addition to those people, you're helping a lot more people with that info. So we all thank you for the random info.
Yeah, that's a big thing about knowledge is uh, you want to spread it. Knowledge likes to spread. So you help someone, they help someone else out, and everyone gets that piece of knowledge, and it's wonderful.
Yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely.
back to the siege we've got
Yeah.
here.
Anyway,
Picking
enough
up
of that. Yeah.
heart container in Lost Woods. we did check the lumberjack, found that it was only a hurt piece, so hopefully we will not have to worry about Aghanim. But I mean, the cape says otherwise.
Yeah, we're still sort of figuring out that tally and trying to see if we're going to be able to avoid it or if we're going to have to do it. And there we have Bombos in Blind's Hut here. Let's see what else we can find. Oh, a bunch of rupees. That's always nice to see in the early game. And a piece of heart to round it out. So as we know, Aga is on the table. That's something that we've known from the beginning of Escape, really. Beyond that, of course, we'll have the basic sort of checks that you're always going to see. Have the Master Sword being found in the well, which is interesting. But so after this, we have to imagine we'll probably see at least one of our runners, if not both of them, go to South Shore. Of course, we also have the Eastern area, which is going to be good for possibly up to 6 items. But as we know, it's not quite as attractive without the bow. Probably a bit too early to speculate as to where we could see runners go, since we're still kind of looking for our initial equipment. But Espeon, what would be going through your head right now as you were playing this scene?
Well, my thoughts right now are probably about Zora money. We do have the Moon Pearl, so fake flippering is a fairly attractive option, and we do have a good number of rupees at this point, almost enough to afford Zora on both sides. So it is very likely that we will be able to pick up enough money. Oh, but there is the bow.
The bow, how about that? Wow.
So that suddenly changes a lot of things. We do know Crystal Eastern, so bow could be a strong pull there. But we also need to consider that there are dark rooms, and so being able to do those dark rooms would be a big factor in whether or not the runners choose to go there.
Yeah, and at this point, it's probably worth briefly explaining the whole kind of premise of this tournament. Probably most people watching know this, but just in case you don't, this is the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament where all of these runners are somewhat new to the game. So, whereas you're probably used to seeing people race that have, hundreds of seeds under their belt, these guys probably have maybe a couple dozen at most. They're kind of more casual players, but still enjoying the being able to race and be in a tournament. So they are racing, but the kind of cool thing is they're also each being guided by mentors behind the scenes. Each of them is on a voice chat with a mentor. That's why you can't hear any audio from their streams right now, is because that would be piped through. So not only are they working their way through the seed as best they can, but they've also got a more experienced player that is helping them make some decisions and kind of talk through what they're seeing.
And you can see that right here. Despite the early bow, we are going to get South Shore checks, which is pretty interesting to me. Seeing a lot of higher level races, you get kind of conditioned into thinking, oh, we got bow, let's just go straight to Eastern. But bow doesn't actually do anything in Eastern within the logic unless you also have the lamp. And there is the lamp right there. How
Oh,
convenient.
wow. Yeah, how about that? That is interesting. And I sort of I guess the reason I brought all of that up was because I wondered if, of course, as we know, there are a couple dark rooms in Eastern. I sort of wondered if we would see them kind of steer clear of that until they got their lamp, or if they would maybe not be as fearful of having to take on those dark rooms. Of course, there are other sort of logic things to consider, but again, execution is going to be something that has to be considered when you're playing. When you're talking about newer racers going up against one another.
And judging by the looks of that, mini Moldrum Cave, both of our runners are going to have the money required for Zora, so it will be interesting to see whether they choose to fake Flipper or not. We do have Moon Pearl, so we can get an additional 2 checks in the waterfall, but it is also an out of logic play, so you may favor going to the in logic play of Eastern Palace.
Yeah, no, it looks like Arusta is definitely going to go up to Ice Rod Cave and at least get that item. I have to say, from personal experience, the last 2 seeds I've played, I've put off Ice Rod Cave, and both times it's been something extremely important. So it's good to see them checking it. I know it's something that I plan on doing a lot more of.
Yeah, I mean, Ice Rod Cave is not any more more or less likely to have progression than any other chest in Sphere 1, which is what we call the initial checks before you have any real equipment. So Ice Rod Cave is part of Sphere 1. There's honestly not really too much reason to have skipped checking it in a 1v1.
Yeah, it's just so far out of the way, you know. If you can get away with not checking it, that's theoretically like a minute or so that you save. But you know, as I said, it's not worth skipping. So definitely good to see both of them check it.
I mean, sure, but you can always say that for like Eastern Palace Big Key Chest, or like west side of Swamp Palace, or Cutscene Chest in Maya. There's so many examples of this kind of thing in the game. Like it's much safer to check all of them.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I mean, getting a flute later on in the seed could incentivize coming back for it. Ooh, there's a hook shot. But yeah, you're right. And as Verts points out in chat as well, there's really no time like that early game.
Alright, so DieselMartini here going for fake flippers, having some trouble getting the lineup. So this is a pretty tight trick. It's I believe 2 pixels to actually get the fake flipper here. So we did get it now. So we are now swimming. We don't have the flippers, but that doesn't matter.
Fake flippers. We have flippers, but they're fake.
And of course, if you get hit in this state, uh, in the vanilla game, that would be a soft lock. In randomizer, it's an instant death to prevent the possibility of hard locking the game.
Yeah, I love how they do you a solid by killing you. That's like the nicest thing they can do in that situation.
Yeah, that is a good point. The hobo fake flipper out of here is a good bit tougher, in my opinion, than the main one. Oh, first try, very
Nails it
nice.
first try. There you go. Yeah. Oh, and if you'll direct your attention to our restream on Arusta's side, we've had a change of template up to something that looks a little more appropriate for Eastern Palace. Incredible.
Alright, fireball almost coming
Ooh,
very close.
that was so
But
close.
yeah, this whirlpool is actually surprisingly difficult to get into if you don't make it on the first shot.
Now, ooh, that was another close one. So Diesel was circling around that whirlpool. Is that just something that sort of happens as you're trying to get in, or is there actually some like whirlpool effect to that?
No, that's just the swimming mechanics being kind of dumb.
Okay, that's what I thought. And yeah,
It,
that's happened to me too, and I
yeah,
wasn't sure
it's
if it
just
was
like
me or if it was the game.
it's
Yeah.
just like it's hard to make a sharp turn while swimming. So it kind of winds up you make these sort of looping circles around the chest, so around the whirlpool, because you can't make the tight turn required to get in there.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not crazy then. It was just me.
Honestly, the easiest thing to do is to swim farther away and then come back in from a farther away point.
Yeah, that's what I like to do is just approach it from far so you have a lot of momentum and it's harder to veer off.
All right,
Now,
we are coming up to the scam fish here. 500 rupees. What it will give us?
Just a big 20. That's a bum deal. So one thing I noticed as DieselMartini was making their way through the Zora area is they moved right onto a strip of land. And Diesel, if you happen to be watching this afterwards, and maybe your mentor said something as well, but if you can avoid that land, you can actually keep the water walk state a little bit longer, which is actually going to make your trek over to Zora just that much faster. So just something to think about in the future.
Yeah, it does make the trip a good deal faster since you can just walk straight on the water. But on the other hand, it also comes with the risk of soft locking if you get hit. So it might be
Mm-hmm.
it might be safer if you don't feel too comfortable with that movement yet to just drop the water walk and proceed normally. You don't lose any items by doing so.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could have been a safety precaution, not so much a mistake, but something more intentional. So I just want to take a quick moment to let everyone know that, of course, we're not streaming in any of the audio from either of the streams because we were getting the mentor commentary through that. We thought that might be a bit much to listen to, our commentary and their commentary. But I say that just to remind folks that even though you're hearing the Pendant Dungeon theme right now, that is merely background music just for this stream, and Eastern is in fact a crystal. So don't let that music throw you off.
Alright, we have Armos here. Each Armos takes 3 arrows to take down. And the last one, when all of his buddies are defeated, will turn red, refill all of his health. Ooh, but there was a nice phase 2 skip there, being able
Wow,
to if you arrow the last Armos before he can turn red, you will skip that phase.
that was pretty slick. I don't know that I've seen that before. That was awesome.
Yeah, interesting setup for it. The kind of standard setup, which is top right, is pretty difficult. So that setup is actually a pretty interesting, consistent way to do it.
Very cool. And it looks like a little bit of maybe indecision. I wonder if that was a quick mentor conversation there that they were having, trying to kind of figure out what to do next.
Well, unfortunately, at this point, we really don't have very many options. We've got Agina's cave or Aghanim, and that's about it.
Yeah, and with only having two options, it looks like they still were kind of caught in between the two of them. I guess we're heading down to Agina and decided to go to Aghanim. Talking about Arusta, of course, on the right side.
Yeah, DieselMartini will also face this choice in a couple minutes. But I definitely agree with going to Aghanim right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, I guess there could be things you could find with Agina that could open the seat up further, which could lead to, Dark World access items that we might need. But I agree with you. I think this is the better play. It's unlikely that that's going to be the case, and let's just go ahead and take out Aga 1 while we're here and while we know it's what we need to do.
Yeah. Comments about like you can't get Dark World access from just the one item. Well, consider you could get Glove in Agina's cave, and that opens up Death Mountain, and then that's like 10 more
Right,
checks.
right, exactly. There was a similar situation in a seat I played the other day where I did do Aga, but it turns out the one item that I left before doing Aga was Flippers, and then Flippers sort of opened up to what you needed, kind of exactly like you just
Oh man.
described. But
Yeah,
that is,
those
yeah,
scenes are always unfortunate.
yeah. I didn't regret doing Aga because I still feel like it was sort of the right play at the time. But and in this situation too, I still think it's the right play. That's rando, it's just gonna throw things like that at you sometimes.
Yeah, the decision on when to do Aghanim is actually a pretty tough component of early game routing.
Hmm.
Although here we kind of, it was actually very conveniently laid out. We had the ability to completely finish off Eastern Palace, so that was definitely worth doing. And then after that, we've only got Agena left.
Yeah, I will say it's a shame that we didn't get one of our racers to check that. It's always fun when one of them does something and the other doesn't, because you can kind of see instantly, what was the right play, what paid off. But looks like we're gonna have to wait a little bit to see what was in Agena. Maybe Diesel will go. I guess there's still time for that, but we'll have to wait.
So a quick aside about the items that we've got right now, we do have the hook shot. So you might be thinking, if you're familiar with the routing here, oh, we could go to West Dark Worlds, but we actually don't have another item which we would need to do that. You need one of the flippers, the hammer, or the glove to be able to get to that hookshot point, actually. And so we don't have any of those, which means that the hookshot right now doesn't actually get us access.
As
So yeah,
yeah,
the choice here is to take the bow to Palace of Darkness. That's the only other thing we could do.
Espeon, I hate walking around the dark world without gloves.
Oh yeah, that's awful.
It's like everything you try to walk up to, you just like lean against it for a second. You're like, oh yeah, I need gloves to go here. For me at least, I always forget what needs gloves and what doesn't, because you're so used to having at the very least the power gloves when you're there. So not having them really can throw you off your game. Okay, so it looks like Diesel is just going to head straight to Aga. As we said, definitely can't blame him. Definitely looking forward to seeing what's on Agena, though, just out of morbid curiosity.
I see some Cadence of Hyrule discussion in the Twitch chat. Yes, I agree. That boss is the best music.
I still have not played that yet. You've played it. It's good play.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Yeah, both the gameplay and the music are both amazing.
Now, did you play Crypt of the Necrodancer?
No, actually, so I played co-op with one of my friends. So I've gotten one playthrough in. I know it's a roguelike and all. You can play it uh, repetitively, like
Mm-hmm.
randomizer. But
Yeah,
I've only played it the one time.
I have not played Crypt of the Necrodancer either, but it sounds right up my alley. It's kind of ridiculous that I haven't played either one of these games, but I'm
Wow.
thinking I'll get
If
around to
you
Cadence of Hyrule. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a Switch, I absolutely recommend it.
All right. Yeah. That'll have to come after Super Mario Maker 2, which I am extremely hyped up for. But I suppose that's neither here nor there. So Arusta's taking on Aga 1 here, bouncing those balls back, and DieselMartini not too far behind, really.
Oh, this is kind of unfortunate though. Looks like 3 or 4 blue balls. I wasn't really counting.
Yeah, definitely several at the very least.
All right, looks like 4.
Suppose it could always be worse. Let's see if the pyramid has anything cool.
Ooh, okay. So Arustas actually skipped the hint in Aghanim's Tower, which DieselMartini just read, and that hint says there's a unique item above the pose. Oh man.
Hmm.
So that is actually very useful knowledge to have. Graveyard Wedge is one of those annoying locations. Arusta did read the hint. I didn't see Arusta read the hint. I actually have no idea.
I didn't see it,
Okay,
but
everyone's
okay,
yelling
here's
at
map
me.
check.
Everyone is yelling at me that Arusta did, in fact, read the hint.
I didn't see it happen, so I could neither. I was not able to confirm or deny. Okay, here's another map check. Our red crystals, it looked like were Mire and Skullwoods. That was about all I could make out, unfortunately. It was pretty quick check.
I saw the green pendant on Thieves Town, of course, but
Okay.
I didn't catch the location of the other pendant.
Well, we know a fair amount, just based on that. Hopefully, maybe chat can fill us in on that last pendant, or when Diesel checks, we can see it. By the way, a huge shout out to our restreamer Elias, who is also a racer in this tournament. Elias actually is sort of the original Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament restreamer. The very first match of the tournament, Elias actually took all of the VODs and commentary afterwards and sort of mushed it all together, and we were able to make sort of a YouTube video out of that. So, shoutouts to Elias for going above and beyond and being able to bring this stream to the masses.
Alright, so that was, I believe, a map in the first chest of Palace of Darkness, so we do have a bow walk here.
Well, fortunately for our runners, they both have bows. So let's see what's a little further into pod. Wonder if we can maybe get a vanilla hammer or something like that.
That's not vanilla. That's definitely not a vanilla hammer. That hint.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that's in plain sight in pod, unfortunately. So that dream has been dashed. Wonder if that's the unique item that's above the pose.
That one is not in plain sight, even though it's a freestanding item. It's not visible out in the open.
Oh, that doesn't count as one of those hints.
No, the hints are a little bit weird sometimes with what they count for.
Yeah, very soon we will do an entire podcast episode talking about hints. And at that point, I will know what I'm talking about when it comes to hints. But until then, I will continue to have no idea what they mean.
Yeah, it could be Bumper Cave. All you'd need is a glove, and Bumper Cave would be in logic. Speak of the glove.
Well, how about that? Yeah, getting a little bit of mentor information there. Just realized they couldn't hammer down those pegs because they don't have a hammer yet. And
Yep.
okay, taking a death warp. I see.
Yeah, Death Warp is fastest way out of this. The right side. For a significant number of hearts, actually. I think it's like something like 15 hearts, at which point walking back becomes fast.
It could also depend on your mail too, right?
If you go down to the conveyor belt room, the spike always does a full heart of damage, regardless of your mail.
Yeah, okay, that's smart.
So it is a little bit faster to Death Warp with green mail because you can use the jellies instead. But going down to the spike room will be faster.
So Ice Palace is our other pendant. That's a shame. Almost kind of hope to see some Ice Palace play.
And it looks to me like Arusta received a little bit of potential advanced key logic knowledge. So the front of Palace of Darkness can only have, or that is to say, it has to have at least 4 keys. Otherwise, you could key lock yourself. So having already picked up the 2 items that were there, which are the map and the glove, you can know that the rest of the chests are all keys.
I would be pretty impressed if Arusta knew that. I certainly wouldn't have. Then again, I'm pretty famously bad at pod key logic. I wonder if their mentor might have been able to help out in that regard too. I do want to give a quick shout out to the mentors. DieselMartini actually being mentored by another racer who we had step in sort of at the last minute at DieselMartini's request to make sure that we were going to be able to, fill out the personnel for this race. Actually being mentored by Appotomx, who is in our top group. So, pretty talented runner and definitely qualified to be helping out as a mentor. And Arusta being mentored by FebrezeNinja. And I'm going to interrupt myself to say we just found the mirror in Pod. So that obviously is going to change things quite a bit.
Yeah, mirror always nice to see. That possibly even opens up going to Death Mountain as an attractive option. I did not mention Spectacle Rock, but that is an Spectacle Rock inside and outside are both in plain sight, so those are both potential hammer locations. Arusta, please mirror. No.
Oh yeah. What? No, you never want to walk backwards through here.
The goal is to go find, I assume, one of these guys to death warp off. Just gonna save and quit out. All right. Maybe.
At this point,
thinking about this.
yeah, you're so close to it, you might as well just do it. That was definitely a mentor conversation that was just held.
I mean, at this point, like, there's not too much to do. Wait, did they not realize they got the mirror? Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, a death warp gives you a little bit of health back.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it
you're saying
is.
they should have gone into Eastern right there.
No, we already did Eastern. It's but it's faster to save and quit here because the mirror will put us into back to the pyramid since we already defeated Aghanim 1.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe just missed that because I didn't. I definitely didn't think about it.
It is something that doesn't get thought about too often, because it's not super often that you get mirror and defeat Aghanim 1 early on.
Very true, but that sort of heads up thinking, like, okay, I got the mirror, so now a save and quit is going to operate differently. Like, oh, that's smart, man. I don't know. That's what makes you so good at this game. I don't know.
So here's that hookshot point I was talking about earlier.
And of
now
course,
we can go over to
yeah, since we
yep.
got the gloves, we can head over. Very nice.
So we can get to Graveyard Ledge now, but the path there is a little bit complicated through the graveyard. It's
a legit
honestly,
maze.
this is. Oh yeah, this thing is. If you don't have mitts or boots, it's like, how do I get there? This was when I played one of my first seeds. Actually, this is something that really got me, because I didn't use a tracker back then, because I didn't know they existed, and so I didn't know how to get through here.
Yeah, no, I think everyone has a seed when they first start where they just wander aimlessly around that graveyard maze, just like, I have no idea where to go. Is this even possible? So it's like a rite of passage almost. And there's the book. That's the unique item.
I suppose it's worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely want to have that book fairly early on to get tablets at a convenient point, and also to read the pedestal if it comes up.
Yeah, so with a, pendant desert, and also the fact that, we do have Titan Smiths, and, there's definitely going to be a flute in our future. Yeah, the book's not necessarily going to be a huge game changer in terms of progression, but, to your point, it does open up a couple extra item locations. So, of course, our runners will be happy to take advantage of that. Rust needs to be careful, right? Okay. Using the cape, that was definitely a smart move.
Yeah, this is a little scary because those murdered crows are out for blood, as they always
Two
are.
of them. Yeah.
Alright, DieselMartini picking up the mirror now in Palace of Darkness. Ooh, running out of magic. So the cape runs out of magic right as you're passing over an enemy, and you unpoof, and you're on top of an enemy.
Oops, you can't both occupy that space at the same time.
So we are getting now a little bit of divergence. You've got Diesel heading up to what looks like Death Mountain, although Arusta just saved and quit. Go into Sanctuary, maybe gonna do the same thing. Never mind on that divergence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like that's probably going to be the play.
But there is a key difference here, which is that Arusta has the Book of Mudora, and there is the Ether Tablet on Death Mountain.
Oh, wouldn't you love to see that be a, like a progression item under there? Of course, both of our runners have taken down Aga, so you'll see a few more crows running around the light world. Just more enemies in general. That's, of course, going to happen whenever Aga 1 has been taken care of in a seed. Okay, just a piece of heart on top of Spectacle Rock Cave. DieselMartini is going to go ahead and just make the dive, check out this hint, and just get whatever the item is. Not going to check for it. Wonder if they've got this bomb jump under their belt. Nope. I thought maybe they were getting ready to set it up when they looked at the hint tile right there, because that is one of the setups for that bomb jump, but it is one of the tougher ones, so not necessarily a surprise to see that they wouldn't opt for it. Oh, okay. Just got a hint to switch to the restream. Sounds like we might be a little bit behind, so give me just a moment. We will update.
Alright, so we do pick up Titan's Mitts and Silver Arrows in Paradox Cave. I'm on the multi-stream now, so I'm seeing a little bit ahead of what you're seeing, I guess.
I've got the multi-stream up now. I see. Looks like Arusta just dropped down.
Yep.
I think I'm caught up with everybody. Yeah. Thanks for the heads up, Chad.
So Titan's Mitts on Death Mountain. Very nice place to find them, since it means we can head straight into the Dark World portal here.
That is very nice to be up on the mountain, be able to find that.
Alright, looks like DieselMartini going for the bomb jump here. That actually looks pretty good. Oh.
Guess something went awry there.
Yeah, honestly, the bomb jump can be kind of finicky. Sometimes it knocks you in a weird direction.
Yeah, so as Lech Tanzi points out in chat, Paradox, I mean, it's 7 items, so it's very often going to have something of note, something that's helpful to you. Sort of the way that Hype Cape used to, kind of before the versions changed and it sort of lost some of its value. So there's nowhere in the game to really make you feel the sting of not having boots quite as strongly as Spiral Cave can.
walking all the way around.
Just a nice long walk.
But yeah, we did get our in plain sight hammer, and it's on Death Mountain. And I don't know where DieselMartini's going because they have the mitts. I'm not sure if I should be concerned or not.
Yeah. Oh no, they got locked behind that dead rock. There is nothing worse than that happening. That's almost as bad as getting snatched by a Wallmaster. But yeah, with the routing, I don't know. So they saved and quit and went to Mountain Cave. So they're still on the mountain, but it seems like it would have been better to just walk right over there.
Yeah. Although, hey, we just got the Pegasus boots on Arusta's side in
Excellent. That was Hookshot
Hookshot
Cave.
Cave. Yep.
Excellent.
Looks like Death Mountain is a nice treasure trove today. Got a bunch of nice items here already. And
Yeah,
we're
we
just adding one
do.
more to that list.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff up here.
Yeah, like adapting routes on the fly is one of the toughest things about Randomizer, I think. Being able to dynamically change what your plan was when you get something that mixes it up. Like here, for example, you're gonna be like, oh, let's go do East Death Mountain. Then you get the mitts, and you have to change your route to accommodate for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the sort of thing that when I do recognize it and remember it, I feel like it's a product of my experience. You know, like the longer you play, the more, at least in my experience, like the better I get at recognizing those sort of things quickly. Whereas if I reflect back to when I was a newer player and a lot of my first seeds and first races, I would be thinking so hard about what I wanted to do that I would just do it and not consider those sort of things. So we just got a hint that flippers are in Hype Cave. And there's our shovel. So two unique items uncovered there. All right, so we've got both of our racers in the same dungeon, which is always kind of neat. Arusta's a little bit behind, but looks like DieselMartini is getting ready to take on Moldorm. So let's see how they do.
Yeah, not having the hammer here could actually be a slight issue, since I think Master Sword Moldorm is pretty annoying, since you pretty much have to get spins in order to not get a fast cycle here. Since it's avoidable, you feel like you have to go for the spins. That looks like a poke to me, so I'm not actually sure if this will kill this spin.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we got fast.
Oh no, and that's not fun to deal with. It's certainly possible, but it doesn't make things easy.
Ooh,
Ooh, and
yeah.
Diesel goes down. Yeah, but again, you know, with a fast Moldorm like that, it's tough. It did equalize things a bit. Arusta is now walking up to Moldorm, so we have kind of a split screen here. That's always fun.
Arusta, please use your boots.
Oh, I think Arusta might have forgot that they got them. I can definitely relate to that. You hate to see it, but when you've been running around for 40 minutes without them and then you get them, it's easy to forget you got them.
Oh yeah, because they changed the movement style so much.
All right, so Diesel takes down Moldorm, gets a map for their trouble. Let's see if Arusta can follow suit. Ooh, getting chased around.
Oh, unfortunately, slashing the tail when Moldorm is at 2 HP, so it'll result in the fast phase. Managing to take down the fast phase though, so we're all good.
Yeah, well done. Way to hang on there at the end. So as Amaranth points out, definitely nice to find the shovel when we did, because neither one of the runners has really been through that, South Hyrule area that we typically go. That's below Village of Outcasts. So it would be nice to be able to have that when and if our runners do head down there.
Yeah, seems like the death that Arusta took was actually a blessing in disguise.
Which death was that?
The one outside of Bumper Cave, since if there was no death, they probably would have continued on to Thieves Town. Would have not been able to route and shovel. Maybe would have done Thieves Town without the hammer.
Mm, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. It's kind of a blessing in disguise.
Of course, you don't want to take deaths, but that one may not have been as bad as it originally seemed.
Sure. Yeah, it's always nice when you're able to look back in hindsight and identify a death that actually saved you from making checks that would have given you nothing, and you can try to pretend like that was your intention along, but we all know what happened.
So where is Arusta going now, I wonder? Heading back up the mountain, but there's not really anything left up here, except I suppose Spike Cave. That could be the option here.
Did they check the tablet?
Yeah, we got the tablet.
Okay. What was that?
Tablet was 20 rupees.
Oh, okay.
Looks like we're going to get a Spectacle Rock, though. Oh, did you see that hint the first time? The fish's hint?
Yeah, I don't know if I
Oh,
did see that
no.
before, actually.
Well, I'm pretty sure that points to Catfish. I'm fairly certain there's no other location.
And that was unique
Right.
item.
Yeah, unique item on Catfish. Yay.
Hmm. Well, I'm sure we'll be seeing that from at least one of them. Probably both if it's progression. And yeah, it looks like we are about to get a glimpse at Spike Cave. Just 50 rupees in bonk rocks, meanwhile, from Diesel.
Looks like DieselMartini is opting not to check King's Tomb, which is interesting considering, well, maybe you want to route it in with Graveyard Wedge later, although then maybe you could just save checking Bonk Rocks for then.
Yeah, it's like when you have the boots and mirror and Titan Smiths, it's like a lot easier to kind of go just check that whenever. But um, a lot of people tend to route it in with bonk rocks. I've noticed. I guess it's not the fastest thing in the world, but you know, whenever you can get an item and you can kind of just run over there and get it, it's kind of a good thing to do. But yeah, they could be waiting to route it in with Graveyard Ledger, something like that. I honestly can't remember if they checked it already or if that was a Rosta.
No, they don't have the book.
Oh, that's right.
So we are getting a Pendant Thieves play here. Meanwhile, Arusta is choosing to go straight to Hype Cave, pick up those flippers.
Well, we know they'll get at least that, and of course, four more items. So definitely not a bad play.
Oh, but there's the Fire Rod on DieselMartini's side in Pendant Thieves. Fortunately, only in the front four, so I imagine that Arusta will also get it. But that is a pretty convenient fire rod. Let's head straight to Skullwoods.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking. It's very convenient to just go straight north when we're done here.
And there are those flippers we were promised. And
And it,
yeah, that does give immediate access to Swamp Palace, so we can go right
mhm,
in there.
that is awfully convenient, you gotta admit. So Arusta's sprite, is this supposed to be like a Robo Link?
Yeah, I believe the name of the sprite is RoboLink 9000.
Oh wow. Its level is 9,000.
Yeah. So when he dies, he falls into pieces.
That's what that was. I was wondering that death sprite. I was like, is that a gravestone? Like what is going on there?
Does look a bit weird. Oh, there's another unique item, Kinderburner.
Hmm. Unfortunately not too helpful now that we have our or we already have our cape, I should say, and not too much the blue cane's gonna do for us. Okay, let's see what the blacksmiths have for us. So yeah, as Chad is pointing out, kind of filling in some folks who are just getting here. This was another Agaseed, and I'm not sure exactly how this happened, but the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament has had a disproportionately high amount of Agaseeds, especially in the first week. I think we had like 9 or 10 out of 16 total seeds were Agaseeds. So
Jeez, that's
yeah,
like double the amount that you'd expect.
yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah, and I guess in standard, I guess chances are a little bit higher for an
I
Agaseed than they
mean,
would be in
they're
open.
not that much higher.
Yeah, not that much higher, but I think it's like 35% instead of 33%, something like that. But yeah, it's been kind of funny to see all these Agaseeds. It definitely gives our as I mentioned before, newer runners some good practice for some interesting situations.
Yeah, routing Dark World with Aghanim is actually sometimes pretty tricky, since you'll often have a limited gear set going into Dark World. You'd expect to have Hammer and Glove or Mitts, but then you won't have one of those, maybe even both of those, and so suddenly some things that seemed, very simple, like, just go into Thieves, you have Hammer, whatever, but then it's like, oh, well, I don't have a Hammer.
Yeah, and as we talked about before, not having any sort of lift upgrade, even gloves when you're in Dark World is just like so incredibly inconvenient because you're so used to it.
Alright, I missed Flute somewhere. Where was it? I'm
I,
clearly was not paying attention.
yeah, I missed that one too, unfortunately.
Chat, help.
A bomb, okay, in the bomb hut in the village of outcasts. Very cool. That's a nice place to find that, especially when you already have the mirror. You can do exactly what Diesel just did and just veer on over and grab the bird. Yeah, as Black Wax points out, that bottom bomb hut, it is known in the on the website as brewery. That's the official item location name. I'm not exactly sure why. There are some kegs in there, but yeah, sort of weird.
Yeah, that is the justification that has been used. It's one of the worst location names in my opinion. Like K45, at least that's a meme, so everyone knows it. But
Yeah,
but
I was literally just about to say
brewery is
K45.
like, where's the brewery? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. At least K45 is unique. Breweries. The real problem with brewery is there's already a tavern. So it's so easy to confuse the two of those.
All right, and we are seeing so the back way, the intended way to get to Skullwood's big chest. Something that you rarely see in a more like a kind of standard tournament race, because there's
Mhm.
the bomb jump, but it's not actually that slow.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing where, if you have attempted it in the past and fallen, 3 or 4 times in a row, maybe the next seed that you play, you just go ahead and walk around back and you don't bother with all that. And I may or may not be speaking from experience there. So this is one of those rooms that Diesel is in where you just really would love to have the red cane. Unfortunately, not a luxury that Diesel has at their disposal at this time. Has to do it the old-fashioned way and drag that statue.
Blame Chris. I agree.
What's the story behind that?
Chris named the locations.
Oh, and he picked brewery for the one in Village of Outcast. Interesting.
All right, we are coming up on Argus here. So we do have Master Sword. We can't take out these puffballs in a single slash, so we will have to do 2 slashes instead. There
No,
are faster strats here, but they're pretty difficult. So going for the simpler strats are definitely worth it. Hammer strats would be way slower here because we have a sword.
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would also be possible to hookshot 2 of these things off at once and spin slash to kill them both at the same time. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the strat that I use because it's reasonably fast and it's not brutally difficult like some of the other Master Sword strats are.
So, do you have any advice for folks that are watching that might have trouble with hookshotting 2 of those and still being able to get the spin slash off in time?
Yeah, so if you're like kind of hookshotting one of them, it usually you have to kind of move far enough away. You can move pretty far and still keep your sword charge. So a common issue is that people think they have to not move too much, but you can move a pretty significant amount and still keep the sword charged. So that helps a lot. Also, I'm trying to think. Like
Yeah, this good.
you need to fully charge your sword or almost fully charge your sword before you start hookshotting. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the spin off. So you can't like charge your sword during a hook shot. That doesn't work. It doesn't keep charging.
So you need to hear the like put it up. You need to hear that before you send the hook shot out.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you don't have to hear the whole thing. If you can,
Like
if you
cut
like know it's about to happen,
anticipate it,
then
cut
you
it
can.
short.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that works too.
Cool.
And
Okay.
while I was talking about that, Diesel Martini had a very nice Mothula fight.
Nice Mothra, and also Arusta managed to finish up Argus. So nice job for both of our runners on boss execution.
And Diesel Martini does not have the book, so we will not be getting a pedestal check yet.
Well, that's a shame. I'm curious. I would like to know what is on there. And reading in chat from from Amaranth, they think that Arusta might have flooded the key. I have to admit, I didn't see that.
Arusta did not flood the key because
Okay.
they're
Okay.
on West Side Swamp right now, which you
Okay.
can't
Okay.
do
Yeah.
if you flood the key.
Yeah. Very good point. Amaranth is asking us to ignore them. I'm also doing the same.
I think Arusta actually got the key on the first trip into Swamp House,
Oh, okay.
which is interesting. Unfortunately, West Side Swamp doesn't look like it paid out. Typical.
Speaking of K45, we were talking about a little while ago, Rusta's going to give us a look at what is inside. Just a big 20.
Alright, and Diesel is now going to give us that look at King's Tomb. Oh ho, the Cane of Samaria.
Wow. And meanwhile, Aresta giving us that Hidden Grove. It's just 10 arrows. That's too bad. Definitely, Diesel had the more exciting check there. I have to say.
Oh yeah. So that Cane of Samaria is going to open up heading to Misery Mire, assuming we can get in with the medallion, and also going to Turtle Rock, but we don't have the Ice Rod.
Um, we haven't seen the Meyer area yet, have we? I guess the flutes may be a little too new for
No,
that.
no. Yeah, we just got the flute pretty recently, so we haven't gotten the chance to head over there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's definitely going to be of interest soon. And we've got 3 items guaranteed. And then, of course, we've got a crystal over there. And I'm sure these runners are going to want to know what sort of pendant's going to be, or medallion's going to be required.
Yeah, that is true. So there is a unique item on Catfish. There aren't too many left. Let's see, could be powder, boomerangs, ice rod, ether. That's it, I think.
Mushroom?
Rooster got mushroom in Swamp
Okay.
Palace.
Okay. Um, bottles don't count as unique items, do they?
No, they're
Yeah.
just bottles.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that would be it. Yeah.
Obviously, we're hoping it's ice rod, or not if you want to see them suffer. But I'm hoping it's ice rod because that would be really nice.
I like that Celeste sprite when she's picking up the rock. It looks like she's really pushing really hard to pick it up, and it's a cool sprite.
Alright, Diesel coming up into Head Cave, gonna pick up those flippers. We will see if they head into Swamp Palace right away.
Oh, there was also the boomerang and the bug net in there. I missed that before. I'm probably gonna give that a I'll probably say like a 3.5 out of 10.
Wow, you're rating it for with a required item really low.
Yeah, but we knew that was there. Here's the thing about Hype Cave. It's how exciting is what you found in there. So we already knew the flippers were in there, so that's not that exciting.
Nothing for me will ever top the seed when I decided to go back and play an older version seed. So I went back to like version 17 or something. I went to Hype Cave and I got literally every single chest as a unique progression item.
Oh wow. One of my very first seeds, I got 3 swords in there. I went from swordless to tempered.
Wow.
Yeah, that was incredible. I was like, did anybody see that?
Alright, so Arusta heading into Thieves Town. Going to pick up the Fire Rod. Diesel heading into Swamp Palace. Going to get the Mushroom in here. And so both of these dungeons offer interesting choices. Arusta needs to consider whether to keep going into the Back of Thieves, which has, I believe, 2 items. I may be incorrect about that. And Diesel has the lovely age-old question on whether to go into Left Side Swamp or not.
Robo Bunny. Arusta is thinking, processing, processing. Okay, and they're gonna. Oh. Okay, yeah, they're gonna mirror out.
It's a hard decision to be sure. The Pendant Thieves is one of those really weird things that always makes you think really hard.
Yeah, and it's like, if I only get 1 item in the front 4, then I might go back and check for more. If I get 3, then I'm definitely done. But if you get 2, it's like, do you go back and get the other 2?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird. It depends on how much progression you have, how many available locations you have otherwise.
Yeah, it's a tough decision every time. They definitely took some time to think about it, but ultimately decided to go ahead and nope out. And so we still don't know what the other 2 items are back there, and of course, neither one of our runners is in go mode. There's a very real chance there could be an ice rod back there.
I think it's not good to think of it like, oh, I got a progression item in Pendant Thieves Town. Like the game doesn't know that you already got one.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no difference. There's no there's no like progression item cap on a dungeon. You can only have 1 good item per dungeon. Like that's not how it works. They're just wherever they are.
Yeah. So I mean, why do you think so many people do nope out of dungeons that have items left when they find that one important item? Because you do see that a lot. Do you think it's like an odds thing, or they're just sort of hoping that that's the only thing, or what's
Well,
that about?
the way I see it is it's more like, well, this thing gives me access to more locations which will be better than the locations that are here right now.
I gotcha, like a leading sort of thing.
Yeah, a lot of the time, like, I would have left anyway. Just happens that there was a progression item there. Alright, we're still going for the bomb jump a couple times. Unfortunately, not able to get it. So going to be heading down the backdrop instead. and DieselMartini clearing up left side Swamp Palace, unfortunately finding nothing there.
I like that name, by the way, DieselMartini. I wonder where they got that. Reminds me of there's a piece of music called Asphalt Cocktail. I wonder if it's like a variation on that.
I mean, I personally have to say, I would not drink a DieselMartini.
No, I'd probably not gonna be what you want to enjoy.
Oh, so fun thing here, you can't actually put a Samaria block on that switch because it despawns when it goes off camera, so it doesn't work.
Yeah, I guess they didn't know. Probably the
It's-
mentor was like, "Oh, you can't." Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's something you just kind of have to find out for yourself because
Mm-hmm.
you rarely ever see it done in a restream, so it's just kind of something you're like, oh, here's this cool idea. Oh wait, it doesn't actually work.
Yeah, that's been something that's been really fun about this tournament, where we're also used to seeing on YouTube and on Speed Gaming, the best runners that have played the game a million times. They know everything needs to be done. It's refreshing and fun, and I think really relatable, at least for me, as someone who's not like super great at the game, to see people making some of these more basic kind of mistakes. It just reminds you that even though a lot of the people you might watch sort of have already internalized a lot of these things, just because you as a watcher, as a viewer, haven't internalized them doesn't mean that that you're in the minority there.
Yeah, and I think it even offers uh, good things for more advanced players even because a lot of the time uh, it takes like someone new to look at something and think of a new way to do something or a new strat, and so you see people like doing particular movements and you're thinking, wow, wait, could that actually be faster? And then you go and time it and you find out that the thing you've been doing for a year and a half is actually not as fast as this other thing, so it can
Yeah.
provide a source of innovation.
Yeah, I love that. And I can't confirm this or give any specifics, but I've even heard that there have been cases where in this tournament, some of the racers have done things, and the mentor's reaction has been, "I didn't know you could do that," which I just love, because it just goes to show you that even grizzled vets of this game, people who've played hundreds of seeds, can still learn things, because it's such a expansive and diverse game with so many different scenarios available.
Sure, yeah, like even in this race, that consistent armor's quick kill setup, something I never
Right.
would have thought of.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect
Just
example.
because I'm so used to doing the standard top right strat that like it would never even occur to me to do something different.
Yeah, so it's just another thing I love about not only this game but this community, is that so many of us are willing to keep an open mind and pick up some new tricks, even when we've been playing the game for a couple years. And Diesel Martini collecting their blue cane in the desert. Also going to go up and check Agina. Is this the first Agina check that we're getting?
Yeah, so unlike Arusta, who had a route that kind of started at South Dark World, Diesel Martini is going to be ending their route at South Dark World, and so that allows them to chain straight into desert. And there's the first bottle. Oh my goodness.
just an empty bottle. They didn't even put anything in it.
First bottle at like 118. That's really rare. You don't usually see such a late bottle.
Yeah, that is pretty remarkable. There's four of those, and we just now found one. There's got to be at least two chilling in Ganon's tower. not logically. That's just a guess. That's just my opinion.
We're still taking an unfortunate death on Mothula. Mothula is one of those bosses that is just kind of like, oh, but there's the ice rod. Okay. Oh,
Oh, was that ice rod in Myershed?
yeah, it's Meyer Shed.
Okay.
And the Meyer medallion is Quake, so that means that DieselMartini is in go mode.
At 119 and roughly about 12 seconds, somewhere in that neighborhood, DieselMartini is in go mode.
Although it should be worth noting that it is Master Sword, so maybe you want to check some other chests along the route, try and get tempered. Tier's medallion is Bombo.
Yeah, I believe Arusta went and checked very briefly a little while ago.
So now we have Meyer to clear out, Palace of Darkness to return to. We've already gotten all the chests in there, so we just need to go finish off Helmasaur and then clear out Turtle Rock, and we can head to GT.
In a go mode Turtle Rock as well, which means a possibility to maybe even be able to skip the laser bridge if all goes according to plan. Oh no, Arusta got grabbed.
But it was intentional.
Oh, okay. All I saw was the grabbing. I didn't see the circumstances surrounding it. They were okay. So it looks like they were grabbing their full magic refill and then getting grabbed to get warped back.
Yeah, after taking the death on Mothula, you need to get magic back so you can light the torches.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so that is a convenient place. But hey, we got a Godmire.
Very nice. And then also, it looked like taking an intentional death to get some hearts back here as well. So nothing to worry about. Everything's under control. Now, we've had a few folks note in chat that that bottle that was turned up on Agina technically is Sphere 1, and as you mentioned, the very first bottle that we found. So, definitely kind of makes you wonder if maybe Sick Kid doesn't have something that could be important.
Well, what would
That
he
might have been helpful.
What would he even be carrying?
Sword. I mean, not to say that that's going to be make or break, obviously. I mean, the dream would have been Ice Rod, but that's sort of been dashed. We found that. We can't speculate
Sure.
about that any longer. But,
Yeah.
a sword could definitely equalize things quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or
Powder would be.
could have tipped it. Yeah, powder is another good example.
Honestly, I think it still could if Arusta decides to go check Sick Kid before Myershed. Oh wait, need to get the bottle. Wait, I'm confused now. Do they have the bottle or not?
Diesel has the bottle. Arusta does not. And Arusta just took down Mothula. Speaking of Arusta, very well done on the second go there.
Alright, so Vitreous is a piece of cake with silver arrows. What was the lightning? It's going really far to the side.
Yeah, that was like targeted almost, it looked like. It was just like that one little arc of lightning just like bowed all the way out to hit our poor player.
Yeah, Arusta needs Ice Rod and Samaria, which are both in those locations. But hey, that is still hype. Yo, it's a unique item.
Yeah, red meringue on Pet.
Alright, looks like Arusta is hitting the boots checks now, so they will be picking up the Cane of Samaria hopefully in just a minute or so here.
And Diesel, of course, heading into pod to finish that up, grab that crystal. After that, they will just need to take down Trinex, and they will be ready to go to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, for sure. Picking up Keen, you're like, okay, let's go do Meyer now. So I would imagine that Arusta will be in go mode in before long as well.
Which is really great too, because that does actually put them pretty close. I mean, they're probably assuming that happens. They're still separated by about 2 or 3 minutes, but that could amount to some bad luck on Diesel's side, or any other number of things that could potentially happen. So still not over by a long shot.
Yeah, it will be the difference of one Godmire and about half of pod, like half of a go mode pod. It looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Although turning in Mushroom first, possibly also hoping for. Yeah, no bottles, so no potions.
I gotta say, on Diesel's screen, I was surprised that arrow did the trick. It almost missed that statue. I thought you had to get it in the eye, but it looks like it's a much more liberal
Oh no.
hitbox than I realized.
Yeah. The statue is a really big hitbox, even though it doesn't look like it.
Could, could you hit it from the
Yeah.
side, I wonder?
I actually have no idea.
I want to try that now.
I think you may not have enough space to squeeze between the statue and the wall.
Hmm.
But it might actually work if you got out of bounds. I'm not actually sure how you would do it in that room, but yeah, I'm sure I can find a way.
I'm sure you could.
You cannot hit it from the side. Alright, that's interesting.
Vash says it. I trust it. Vash knows a lot about this game. So Vash telling us you cannot hit it from the side. I still want to try. So Black Wax asking about Sick Kid. I don't believe anyone has checked Sick Kid. We didn't get our first bottle until about 10 minutes ago, and now at this point the runners sort of have bigger fish to fry, so we might never see it. But I'm curious what Sick Kid has as well.
Alright, and that is another crystal down for Diesel. Arusta needs to go get that ice rod pretty soon, or this gap is going to become larger and larger. Alright, floating to 6. Good sign. Picking up the rock. Also good sign.
Mm-hmm. Looks like maybe their very next check might put them in go mode. Wait, what?
That's a mirror. That's... There's another bottle.
Oh,
Nice.
just wanted to check the ledge. There you go.
Honestly, that bottle might even be worth picking up. It's a free blue potion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a steal.
Alright, so there is the ice rod for Arusta, putting them also in go mode.
Yeah, go mode as of about 1 hour and 28 minutes or so. I want to say for Diesel it was like an hour 13, something like that. So sort of gives you an idea of about how far behind Arusta is, or maybe I should say how much time they need to make up. It's definitely possible, but I would say it's probably Diesel's race to lose at this point.
But, Turtle Rock is a dangerous dungeon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Scary things can happen in there.
Yeah, Trinex could give either one of our racers a run for their money.
All it takes is a bad Chomp's room, and you burn your potion on that. And then bad Trinix, and you're like, oh no, I don't have a potion.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, and then of course, failing to take that safety can really set you back if something bad happens on Trinex. And a quick update on our pod statue conversation. We have Amaranth chiming in the chat saying that they just checked it, and you actually can hit that statue from the left side, and it will activate the cutscene. So,
all right,
thank you, Amaranth, for doing some science for us.
It's a 1-to-1. I gotta check it for myself.
Yeah, we need confirmation at this point. So Diesel just now was attempting to pull off a trick that is useful if you're able to pull it off. It's very minor, but I think it's worth talking about. So in that first room in Turtle Rock, if you look towards the door as you're trying to go in, of course that eye is going to shoot lasers at you, and the door entrance will shut so you can't get in. But if you turn your back and charge your sword, of course, the laser will not shoot at you, and you'll be able to get in. Now, the fastest thing you can do there is to charge up that sword slash and let go of the slash before it completely charges and makes you do a spin slash. That way, you were able to get through the door without being spotted by the eye, and you don't get trapped into that spin slash animation. You can just drop it and continue on your way. So it's always worth trying that. There's no penalty if you miss it, other than just you're going to do that slash and you were going to do it anyway. So definitely worth trying. And honestly, it's not as difficult as you might think after you tried it a couple times.
Okay, so Vash just brought up one of the silliest things of this game, which is that if you use the fake powder glitch, you actually get a speed boost, which is equivalent to perfect pumping. So if you do it, if you do fake powder and move north or west, you actually move at 2 pixels per frame instead of 1.5. If you move south or east, you go at 1 pixel per frame instead of 1.5 as well. So yeah, it's dumb. Yeah, fake. Yeah, it only works with fake powder, not the real one. Yeah, it's kind of silly.
Wow, that is, I never ever would have known that. That's
It's also
super
pretty much
esoteric.
entirely useless.
Yeah. This game is a good game. It's a good video game.
Alright, so DieselMartini did burn their blue potion in Chomp's room.
Oh, just as you predicted. Oh man, I hope
Yeah.
that doesn't
A little bit
come
of
back to hurt him.
commentator's curse there, I guess.
Yeah.
And Arusta easily taking it on Vitreous. Again, easy pushover with silvers. But also, I have an update on the pod statue thing, which is really weird. So the you can actually shoot an arrow into the statue from the side, and it still works. But the cutscene of the wall moving doesn't trigger until you move in front of the statue.
Oh. So
This
so
is makes no sense. I do not understand it whatsoever.
so you hit it from the side and nothing happens, and then you walk to the front, and then the cutscene engages.
Yeah.
That's
Just
weird.
what?
Are you checking it out right now?
Yeah, it's just like I don't understand it.
That's funny.
Also, DieselMartini just picked up the tempered sword in Turtle
Yeah,
Rock.
I saw that. That's awfully handy to find right before you fight Trinex.
And it looks to me like Arusta is actually checking locations to try and get a sword upgrade. Perhaps not feeling comfortable with Master Sword Trinix, which I totally understand.
Yeah,
But there's a sword just chilling in Turtle Rock waiting for them.
yeah. Hopefully they don't put it off for too long.
But also, hey, we can skip Laser Bridge.
But will we?
We are going to get the safety door first.
Yep, we do get to skip Laser Bridge. That's nice. And yeah, they looks like Diesel just wanted to get that little shortcut door. As we know, whenever you die to a boss, it's going to warp you back to the last door that you took into that dungeon. And so by walking out of that room and then back in, that makes the warp point after a Trinex death much, much closer than, say, the beginning of the dungeon or even halfway through the dungeon, which is another option. Okay, so we've got low heart count. Definitely need to be careful of that. Of course, with the tempered sword and half magic, this shouldn't give Diesel too many problems, but of course that head as it strikes out can be quite lethal. So just needs to make sure to avoid that. Okay, doing a good job so far.
Alright, we're in phase 2 now, so we should be
Nice.
alright.
Excellent.
You can really see how laggy the transition to phase 2 is with all the explosions.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They programmed the game that way. Like that's gonna happen no matter what. All right, easily taking down Trinex. Great fight from Diesel.
So that is all 7 crystals on Diesel's side. Can go to
Oh,
Ganon's tower now.
yes, and you know what that means. Let's go ahead and get our guesses for the Ganon's Tower Big Key in chat. We've got about 15 seconds to go ahead and get them in quick. Espeon, what are you gonna guess?
I'm guessing 1. I always guess 1.
You always guess one. Okay. I'm going to guess 12.
You know, like, as a runner, it always feels really nice to get the big key in the first chest. So I always hope that it happens to everyone.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, most of the time I'm wrong, but then again, most of the time everyone is wrong, so it's fine.
Yeah, I've told this story before. My first 3 restreams, I guessed the big key correct all 3 times.
Oh, that is impressive.
Yeah, like it's like 22 times 22 times 22, isn't it?
Yes.
It's crazy. Yeah, so it's absolutely insane. It's bonkers, but I have audio proof even. So yeah,
Hey, there's another bottle. So,
there they are. That
you
we,
did say
we found
something
them.
about 2 bottles on
Yeah,
GT earlier.
yeah. There's at least one right now. And our count is at that's 4, 5. We have 6 and 7 coming up in this room. And no big keys so far.
Okay, I have to be completely honest. Using the B there is something that I never ever would think of.
Speaking of learning new things, that's another great example. I love that.
I just don't think of using Bs because I usually don't have them.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty rare. Especially having that bee with the star next to it, like the golden bee or whatever.
Yeah, Golden Bee is much more reliable as far as damaging enemies is concerned. I am actually going to look into timing that after this. I think, like times for Golden Bee versus like Sword Beams versus whatever.
I
And
look forward
see if it's
to
actually useful.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing the results of that experiment.
Because the thing is, you need hookshot both before and after the room, so it will waste 2 seconds on menus. Probably more even because it's the bottle menu and that thing is annoying to cycle through. But also the Stalfos are really annoying.
Yeah, the menus are. It's easy to forget that, one item might be faster than another, but if you have to switch to it and then switch back, like that's part of the whole dance. Okay, so we just went through 13. My 12 did not happen. There's still hope for Amarith, who guessed 22, which is probably going to be Tile Room, of course.
The reason for that trigger is the trigger point because of camera transition. Really?
We're we're still working on trying to figure out the that pod glitch or the statue in pod. It looks like Diesel accidentally grabbed both of those skulls, so bonking off of one of them not going to be an option, which is normally going to be the fastest way through that room. So they unfortunately had to leave that room and come back so that the skull would be back and they could bonk off of it. Yeah, just a mental slip. It'll happen to even the best runners, most experienced runners. So they easily were able to take care of that. Chest number 14, Bob's chest, had just some bombs. We are still on the hunt for that big key.
Really?
Oh wow! So it looks like it's going to be right side. We just checked chest number 17 to no avail. So Diesel going to actually going to go ahead and grab a little bit of safety in the form of one of these fairies, and then I would assume actually grabbing two of them, and then I would assume heading back up to check right side. Diesel coming up on a particularly tough room, especially for newer runners. Heading around and lighting all four of these torches. Number one, doing it quickly enough. Number two, avoiding the wall master. Number three, not dying while you're in here to the spike or any of the other enemies. All three of those combined can be pretty tough. As we can see, unfortunately, Diesel was not able to light all four of them in time to get through that door at the bottom. But the second attempt does prove out, and they make it through.
Alright, we're coming up on 18 through 21. If none of these have big key, then you will have your wish of tile room.
Diesel also having a little trouble dealing with these Gibdos. Finally just kills them both with the sword. Says, I don't have time for this. And there's our big key on chest 19. And so Diesel beginning the climb up Ganon's tower. We'll be heading through the gauntlet and oh no, they got stuck. There they go. Gonna be heading up the gauntlet and of course all the other rooms on the way up to Agate 2. It's just a sort of an execution based challenge for Diesel now. Of course, Arusta is working to catch up. Gonna take a little while for that, but as we've said before, as long as Diesel can consistently make their way through without too many mistakes, this should be their race to lose. All right, Diesel coming up on the gauntlet. Oh no, they just walked back down the stairs. Oh, okay, it looks like they've decided to take advantage of yet another safety here in the form of probably really looking more for the magic than for the health. Oh, okay, just the health then. Okay, no, they're going back for the magic. That's probably the mentor giving them a heads up there if I had to guess.
What put Diesel so far ahead? Just kind of nothing in particular, honestly. Just generally kind of better routing, I would say. Kind of getting into go mode a little bit earlier. No like big gambles or anything really.
Yeah, I have to confess, I'm trying to think of like one or two named things, and nothing's really coming up. I think it's just been sort of general kind of execution, making in retrospect sort of the right call here and there. As kind
Yeah.
of
Also,
put 'em ahead.
the Mothula death on Arusta's side did cost a lot of time as well.
That's true. That is definitely one thing you could point to. Diesel having a little bit of an issue dealing with Landless with the fire rod. It's one of those things that seems easier than it actually is.
Yeah, I'm surprised Diesel isn't just going for silver arrows, which is kind of a bit more standard since it's faster. You only have to get one arrow into each one.
Yeah, it's definitely faster, but it's a little more, I think, demanding to try to line those arrow shots up as opposed to the fire rod, which is a little more fast acting.
Yeah, Fire has a bigger hitbox.
travels faster, you can fire it faster, there's less like wind up animation on it. So it is just kind of like an easier weapon to hit.
Yeah, and as we were speaking, unfortunately, Arusta taking a death on Trinex. Fortunately, they did take that shortcut door, so they will be able to bounce back and give it another go here without too much time wasted. But obviously, not what they want to be dealing with when they are so far behind. So, speaking of Diesel making their way through Ganon's tower, as long as they are able to keep up with the consistent execution and take, even if they do need to take advantage of some of those safeties that they have, looking pretty likely that we'll see a sub 2 hour seed from them. So, that'll be a nice goal for them to shoot for. We'll have to see if they're able to nail that down. Performing excellently against Moldorm 2, nearly getting knocked down, but saving it, and finishing it up with just 2 spin slashes from the Tempered Sword. Meanwhile, Arusta finishes up Trinex, so they are going to head over to Ganon's Tower. Perhaps they will go right side, make up a little bit of time here. It's definitely possible.
So Aghanim 2 is, I would honestly say, one of the hardest fights in the game. It is pretty difficult to do quickly. Diesel is getting in a couple hits per cycle, so that is honestly pretty good. I think that was 5 cycle maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wasn't really counting. It honestly doesn't matter too much. But
yeah, it was 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, Aghanim 2 is pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm always happy with a double. Obviously a triple is what you're striving for, but it's sort of rare for it to line up that way and be able to work that out. So yeah, if you can do it in 3 cycles, that's great. 4 or 5 is certainly respectable. So nicely done. And then looks like they opted to go down and grab a little bit of health before they take on Ganon. Just walking that tree down there for the guaranteed fairy fill, and heading up to dispatch Ganon. Let's see how they do. Hammer is pointing out in chat, I had earlier speculated that Arusta could maybe go right side to try to make up some time. Unfortunately, there was no small key in those first 2 chests in Hope Room, so going right side really wouldn't be feasible. You would have to kind of abandon a left side play to go back and do right side, which at that point, is it even really right side? No. Also, no one would ever do that, so of course, Arusta, for all of those reasons, currently working their way through left side now. Of course, they have no way of knowing where the key is, so that's perfectly reasonable. But
I mean, no one would ever do that strat unless you're doing
right.
DN strats, which is exactly what that is.
Yeah, exactly, and it's definitely fallen out of favor. You really don't see that much anymore.
Yeah, it's not so common. Although I usually do it in swordless actually, because killing the Stalfos is really hard in swordless.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's a good strategy.
Alright, and we do have the silver arrows. So we're gonna go for torch clutch, spam the lamp right at the torch. And if
Okay.
you light the left torch before the right one goes out, the right one will never go out, so you don't have to deal with it.
Quite handy.
Wait, did Genin take damage there or not? I don't think he actually took damage there. Yeah, he didn't. So Ganon has this weird thing where if you stun him, they turn him blue, and then light a torch, he actually doesn't take damage from the silver arrows that you shoot at him.
Oh, I did not know that. That's interesting. But yeah, definitely didn't take damage. So,
There's
well,
some weird state stuff like Ganon only takes damage in certain states, but still managed to take down Ganon. Will it be a
yep.
sub 155?
Yeah, it looks like they got it. Awesome. So, according to their own timer, and we can try to check SRL here in just a second. I'll go log in
Yeah,
there. But according to their timer,
the
yeah.
the
Go
SRL
ahead. Do you
time
have the
is
time? Yeah.
154.59.
Excellent. GG, of course, to DieselMartini. Let's get our GGs in the chat, and we will work with our restreamer and see if we can get DieselMartini and their mentor in here for a few words after the race.
What do you mean by that, Vash? Because yes, it is true that you believe it's wait, what? I've never heard of that. On the other hand, I'm not entirely certain how I'm going to test this. I honestly, I don't believe this because I have spent more time than this doing silverless swordless.
Okay, so I believe, have just been joined by our winning team, including DieselMartini and Appotomx. GG to both of you. Can you hear me okay?
Great, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. It's good to hear from you, Tim.
All right, great. So let's start with you, Diesel. What were your thoughts as you were making your way through that scene?
Well, my first thought early on was wondering, if it was going to be another Agassiz, since that's kind of been the theme of the tournament. And we got the cape early on, and we got the lamp, and I was just waiting, and sure enough, we had to do the Agassiz again. So that was kind of the first thing. And then the second thing was, it was really nice having Appotomx. I'm not sure how you say your name.
Appotomx.
Appotomx. There we go. Appotomx. To help with some of the routing decisions. That's one of the things that I think I need to work the most on. But I think he gave me some good, solid advice. And the thing that I probably appreciated most was, he'd offer advice, but he kind of left the routing choices up to me.
That's awesome, and we did mention this at least once or twice during the race, but Appotomx actually is one of our racers and is sort of seated in our top group, and therefore is perfectly suited to be able to step in a situation like this and help out one of our racers. So, Appotomx, definitely appreciate you stepping in to help the tournament run. What were your thoughts as you guided Diesel through that seed?
The seed at a particular point really opened up into a multi-lane decision. This seemed like a really good seed for the hint tiles that pointed towards routing the northern Dark World run, which is where that cane ended up showing, and that really changed the whole perspective of this one.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if you're able to see the restream or anything like that, but Arusta and their mentor, they're essentially kind of working their way up Ganon's tower right now. They just finished the 2 mimic rooms, so they are, essentially kind of a couple crystals behind you, and that was sort of the case for the last, probably 30 to 45 minutes or so. So you've had a nice lead for kind of the last. 30 to 45 minutes of the seed. Um, how were you feeling, Diesel, as you were getting near the end? Did you feel like you probably were in a pretty good place? Were you feeling behind? Kind of what was your mentality going into Gan's Tower?
Yeah, so I was feeling like I was probably in a pretty good place. This is a really good time for me. I was saying while we were playing, I mentioned that this is only the second time that I've had a sub 2, so I'm really happy to see that time up there
Oh,
again. The thing,
congratulations! That's awesome.
thank you. Yeah, the thing that really made me a little nervous, at least earlier in the seed, was I didn't have as many safeties as I normally would have. I mean, I did have the cape, but I didn't get any bottles until much later on. So once I saw kind of the blue mail and then eventually got the red mail, that made me feel a lot better. Just because I struggle sometimes with taking deaths in certain places. So going into Ganon's Tower, that was probably my biggest thought was, okay, I do have red mail, but I don't have a lot of, don't have a lot of bottles, don't have some of the other things that I usually use. But it worked out really well.
To answer your question before, Timp, I didn't have up the restream seed because I didn't want to be stream sniping.
Yeah, that's fair. I wondered if you maybe had after you finished gone to take a look, but that's all good. So Um, other than that, I mean, at least from kind of where we were sitting, and Espeon, feel free to correct me if you could think of anything contrary to this, but it seemed like generally a pretty straightforward seed. Not too many curveballs. Was there anything else that kind of stood out to either one of you that you wanted to mention?
I mean, the only kind of weird thing that I would say would be like Golov and Pod, but other than that, it was very kind of standard.
That's true. Yeah,
That
dealing with
that was definitely a little unique moment, but that happens. It's not too uncommon.
Which one did you
sure.
say?
Getting first Golov in Palace of Darkness.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We had kind of talked when it was getting down to the brass tacks of things between Agina and Agnum, and I know that I've ran a couple of seeds where that glove has been in pod because it's a nice little progression hider that can be in there. So that was the thought leaving Eastern was that with nothing else left, pod was a likely scenario to find at least something.
Yeah, that was a situation where at that point it was almost kind of a sync between both of the runners where you both had Agina or Aga, and you both chose Aga, and it ended up being, as we know in retrospect, the correct choice because Agina didn't have anything that was going to help you, get that Dark World access. All right. Well, if you guys have any final thoughts about the seed, now would be the time to let us know about them. But other than that, I think we'll go ahead and watch Arusta finish this out. Any final thoughts?
I guess I would just like to say DieselMartini is a very good runner of this game, and I was very impressed. We talked about a couple of things that would help improve time, but overall, getting a sub 2 hour on any scene is great. I'm glad that I could just be along for the ride.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And Same thing as, he did a great job mentoring. I really appreciate it. I think one of the things that I'm excited to go back and rewatch the seed about is maybe not necessarily learning what are good routing choices, but maybe what things can be skipped, and trying to make those tough calls when, like, for example, one of the things I did left side swamp, and you told me that you wouldn't recommend doing that, and I decided to do it anyway. It wound up not working. Um, Now, obviously, there could have been something over there, but I think those choices where you have to decide, are what odds are you going to play? What are you going to skip? That's something that I'm excited to kind of look back and analyze a little bit more.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A little bit of that just comes with time, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. In that circumstance, all we had left was the ice rod, and it can literally be anywhere. So I don't fault the play at all, but sometimes swamp's about the only dungeon I've ever found that double dipping is kind of an okay.
Yeah, and of course we were, as that was happening, speculating on anything that it could have been and might have been, and it ended up kind of not really mattering too much. But yeah, I think the execution obviously was a big factor to your victory, Diesel. And actually, I did have one quick question, something I was kind of wondering about while you were running. Your name, DieselMartini. I was just wondering the origin of that because it's a pretty sweet name.
Well, yeah. So it's kind of a long story, but I'll make it as short as I can. So it's not what most people would think. Has nothing to do with martinis or anything like that. But so I actually did some missionary work in a foreign country, and my name was difficult for them to pronounce. And Martini is kind of like their form of Martin, and so they called me Martini. And the person that I was working with also had a difficult to pronounce name, and his last name was very close to their word for diesel fuel. So when we were working together, we were kind of like the DieselMartini team, and I thought, you know what? That is a great handle. So from now on, everything that I do online, I'm always DieselMartini.
That is so rad, and it's
Wow.
got such a rad origin story too that I never would have expected.
Yeah.
My whole night got made hearing that story. That's awesome.
I
Hey,
see. I
one-
was.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say one last thing that I wanted to say was I just want to give a big shout out to all of the volunteers and to the hosts and everybody who helped with the restream, to the mentors. I mean, this tournament already has been such a big help to me, and I really appreciate it. I know that now is kind of a late time for most people since I'm further out west, and I'm just really grateful for everybody putting all the effort in to make this possible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been looking forward to being able to do this restream pretty much all day, and I'm very happy we were able to put together the staff to get it done. And another shout out to Elias for handling this restream. I believe it's his first time doing a restream, and I think he did an excellent job and got this all broadcast. And now you guys will have the benefit of being able to check out the VOD, which is another thing that's super helpful when you're learning to be able to see that. So yeah, I'm just glad we're able to do it. I'm glad everyone's having fun, which is what I always say, and it's just how I feel. So awesome.
I also wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate Diesel for making it to the bracket stage.
Absolutely, yeah. Congrats, Diesel.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up this particular interview. I want to thank you guys for joining us, and GG again. We'll now sort of shift our attention back over to Arusta's stream, where it looks like they are just sort of wrapping up the final stages of their Ganon fight.
Well, thank you all again. I am going to take off for the evening.
All right, GG again. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Diesel, congratulations again.
Thanks.
And Arusta gets a nice double there, finishing it up. Ooh, excellent. Very nice execution. Finishing strong on this seed. Well done. And Espeon, I don't know if you're still able to hear me, but are you able to get the SRL time on this?
Yeah, 1 second. Alright, and the official SRL time for Arusta in second place is 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 39 seconds.
All right, GG to both of them. Let me go ahead and see if we can pull them in for a few quick words.
Hello?
Hello, Arusta.
How's it going? Congratulations, Diesel.
Thank you. GG's.
GG Arusta. Nice job finishing out the seed. FebrezeNinja, are you there?
Yeah.
All right, GG to you as well. So let's start with Arusta. Now that you're finished, you've got the seed behind you. What were your thoughts on that one?
So I liked the seed in general. I thought it was pretty quick. I think the one thing that, we were just talking after I finished. I think the one thing.
Arusta, are you there?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
All right, yeah, Arusta, give us an idea of kind of your thoughts on that seed.
Okay. So my thoughts, I thought it was a pretty good seed. Like, I thought it was, there weren't really any items which were way
Can
out
you hear
of
me?
anywhere. But
Tim, are you having problems?
Yeah,
Can
can you
everybody
guys
else hear
hear
me?
me okay?
All of us can hear Arusta.
Yeah,
You can't.
you're fine.
Oh, Arusta, you might be on mute, maybe?
No, we can all hear Arusta.
Fine.
Okay, Arusta, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear your voice very, very quiet. I think that might be the issue.
Have
if you're
you-
able to.
Check your volume on them.
Okay, my volume output looks like it's maxed.
Well, right
Yeah,
now it
you're
seems-
fine. Whatever it is, I think it's on Timp's end.
Go ahead with your thoughts on the seed while he figures that out.
Okay, so my thoughts on the seed, I thought it was a pretty good seed. Like, I thought it was pretty quick. I didn't think, there weren't a lot of items that were way off. The only thing, really, we ended up just looking for Ice Rod, and that even wasn't that far away. It was nice not having to go into Ice Palace at all or Desert Palace at all. So, I thought it was a pretty good seed. Definitely a fast seed. I saw in chat when you finished Diesel, and that was a jet seed. Excellent work.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. No, I agree. It was pretty smooth. That Ice Rod was a little tricky near the end, but ultimately not having to dip Ice Palace or Desert Palace was great.
Although, honestly, the seed was pretty stingy on the swords until the end, only giving you the Master Sword for Aghanim and then nothing for a long time.
Yeah, and I was surprised I didn't get a bottle until, what, hour and a half in, if not more?
Yeah, the first bottle was really late for both of you.
Yeah, I was thinking that we might have to do a Master Sword Ganon, and then I got the tempered, and that was like, okay, this will be a little bit.
So, our question from Cocktail's perspective, what would you say the biggest difference between the two runs was?
I gotta think about this. I guess the really big routing difference is that now I gotta remember. Oh, so one of you went to North Dark World, Thieves Town Skullwoods first. The other one went to South Dark World and did Swamp Palace first. I actually just cannot remember who it was. I
I'm the one that I think I did the North.
Yeah, I believe DieselMartini did North first, because it led to having Flute earlier. So
Right.
that was kind of the very big noticeable routing difference. Otherwise, you guys did pretty much the same thing up to that point with like minor variations. Arusta got book earlier after Aga, after Pod, I believe.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
We found the hint for flippers, and that's why Arusta ended up doing Southside first.
Yeah, because I found the hint for flippers and already had the hook shot and hammer, so routed in hype cave along with the south side just because I thought I could clear the crystal on my way up to Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, it was definitely good. The items just didn't fall in the right places.
Did you ever check Catfish? Because there was supposedly a unique item there, but
I didn't actually. We were going to try and route that in. So we were doing the north side Darkwood like we just mentioned. Went up the Skullwoods and over to Bumper Cave and checked the graveyard. And we were going to do Catfish after that, and then realized that I didn't have the flippers to cross over the river. We did have the hint, so we knew it was in Hype Cave, but we hadn't gone and got it yet. And so we kind of had to change plans, and we thought, okay, well, we'll get Catfish a little bit later. But then before that came around, we realized that we were pretty close to go mode, so never wound up going up there.
Well, I'm curious what's up there now, because it really can't be too many things. Like
on my side, it's either the red boomerang, the ether, or the powder, because I had every other unique item.
We know Red Boomerang was on pedestal.
Yeah.
So what was one of those two? And yeah, so neither would have been very useful for progression. Powder would have just pulled you to back.
Well, battery's always hanging in a GT climb.
Yeah, there were a couple of times where I wished I would have had powder, especially in Turtle Rock, but we were able to make it through okay.
Okay, I'm back. I figured out what was going on. Arusta, I think I muted you at some point like a week or two ago, and for some reason my Discord still had you muted. So that's why I was not able to hear you, and I apologize. I'm sure that was probably very annoying. It's getting pretty late. Does anyone have any sort of final thoughts as we kind of wrap this one up?
Well, I just wanted to say GG one more time to Arusta and wish him good luck in his next round. Hope to see him in the bracket stage.
Definitely, and the same for you, Diesel. I'm in really good seed, good play, and good luck in the bracket rounds next time.
And a big thank you to Appotomx for stepping in as the other mentor.
Yeah, absolutely. We could not have done it without Appotomx. So another shout out to them. They had to hop off, but definitely shout out to them, and also GG to them for, and of course Diesel for the victory tonight. So awesome. All right. Well, I think unless anyone has any sort of final words, just jump in. But otherwise, I think we will go ahead and wrap this up.
Well, I've got one thing. Look at the bracket. Looks like if I'm reading the bracket right, Arusta's next match will be a rematch against Day.
That is correct. Yeah, and that one is an elimination match. The winner will move on to brackets, and the loser will not move on. So. That will be a fun one, and we will, of course, be on the lookout for that match as it is scheduled. Of course, be sure to look at the match schedule for updates. That is updated daily. Week 3 will be starting this weekend. We have one more match in week 2 to finish up, and then week 3 will start, which is going to be all elimination matches, and they should all be pretty intense. So be sure to check those out. With that, I think we are finished. So I want to say again, GG to our winners, and thank you so much to everyone who helped bring this match and this stream to life. Thank you again to Elias for the restream. Thank you to Espeon for co-commentating with me. It was a pleasure, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, and thank you to Timp for commentating and also for just kind of setting up this whole tournament. It's such a great idea. I'm really happy that it's going on and that it's helped so many people.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm happy to do it, and happy that you're a part of it. And again, thank you to all of our racers, all of our mentors, volunteers, and of course our viewers. Again, I have been Timp on behalf of my co-hosts for Go Mode Podcast, Herfy Durfy and Axial. I want to say good night to all of you, and we will see you for the next one. Good night, everyone.